Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. This is an idea I've been thinking about for quite a while. What if Jason was in Helluva Boss? Now, the Friday the 13th series is no stranger to crossovers. Everyone knows about Freddy vs. Jason. However, there's also Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, which I'm sure most people know about now. There's the obscure 90s comic appearances of Jason where he fought Leatherface and Satan 7, I think that's what they're called. And heck, Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, you could argue that's basically a Jason versus Carrie movie. So, yeah. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. So, obviously, Jason would make his first appearance in the series in Season 2, Episode 5, Unhappy Campers. I mean, it's literally set of the camp. This makes just way too much sense. Overall, the episode would remain the same until Millie runs off after her and Moxie's argument. She goes off to the lake to throw some stones and relieve sort of that stress from the whole thing. Of course, this is going exactly where you think it is. One of the stones hits Jason right on the noggin while he's trying to sleep. It awakens him, and let's just say he's a little pissed. Things play out basically the same as they do in the episode, up until we get to the big fight during the climax between Blitz, Moxie, and Barbie. You know how that firework comes shooting through the cabin and it kills Counselor Jimmy? Well, that doesn't happen here. Instead, Jason is the one who gets hit by the firework, but because he's an immortal zombie, it more or less just kind of grazes him. Jason then bursts through the cabin wall like he does in Part 4, and it kills Jimmy. He begins to make his way towards Barbie. Blitz decides to protect his sister. He shoots Jason a couple times, ends up knocking off his mask, to which Blitz responds how any other person would respond if they saw this face.
One ugly motherfucker.
Jason just picks up his mask and goes off back to the lake, presumably not really feeling in the mood to murder this dude. Now, this leads to Barbie being a bit more conflicted. Instead of her just shouting at Blitz that she never wants to see him again, she acknowledges the fact that, yeah, Blitz is basically stalking her, even in spite of her, wanting to separate herself from him. At the same time, he saved her life right now. She still ends up going off with the Asmodean crystal, but she will be a bit more open to reconnecting with Blitz, which will probably make the events of Apology Tour way different, at least in terms of that. But yeah, other than that, Unhappy Campers is basically the same episode. Moving on to Apology Tour, as I mentioned before, Blitz and Barbie's relationship is mended much quicker as in canon. As you'll know that remember, in Apology Tour, when Blitz attempted to make amends with Barbie after finding her in the human world, Barbie got sick and tired of Blitz stalking her, so they proceeded to get into a pretty massive scuffle that led to Barbie being arrested by the police. For what crime? Well, literally nobody knows. It's probably drug related or something. Now, in order to keep canon at least semi intact so we don't mess up the Helluva Boss movie too much, because that movie has a special place in my heart, Barbie and Blitz still end up in a scuffle, though Blitz is able to apologize to her, and as Barbie is being arrested by the police, she gives him a look that shows that, yeah, she forgives him. This is where we get to Ghost Fingers, the episode that would be probably the most impacted. Okay, not really, but as you can probably guess, Jason would make his return in this episode. Why? Well, it's pretty simple. Orlando would pull a Freddy Krueger appear to Jason as his mom and basically tell him to go and murder the Imp crew. We get a couple scenes of the Imp crew, now including Millie, Luna, and Will, battling Jason, but overall, he's more or less just kind of there. Eventually, come the final act of the episode, Jason's actually one of the people who actually defeats Rolando. He realizes that Orlando was actually using his mom's image to basically manipulate him. As you can guess, Jason wasn't too very happy about that, so he beats the ever loving crap out of Orlando. Of course, being a ghost, Orlando is able to block most of his hits by going into intangible mode. But then, of course, when Blitz tricks him into saying he has no unfinished business, this causes him to no longer be a ghost, allowing Jason to strike an actual hit on him and stab him, right as he gets dragged into hell. Now, Blitz obviously was quite frightened of Jason the first time they met, especially after he knocked off his mask. However, Blitz realizes that Jason, deep down, is not a monster. He's just a scared little boy in a monster's body. And so he decides to basically recruit Jason into Imp. So yeah, all things considered, this is a fairly happy ending. But you're probably wondering, what happened to Orlando? Well, at the end of the episode, we will get a post-credit scene where we see Orlando waking up. He believes he's in hell, but looks more like a boiler room. Orlando walks around for a bit until he hears the sound of knives. He turns around and we hear a familiar voice.